The Cambridgeshire Regiment was an infantry regiment of the British Army, and was part of the Territorial Army, originating in units of rifle volunteers formed in 1860. The regiment served in the Second Anglo-Boer War and the First and Second World Wars before losing its separate identity in 1961. Its lineage is continued today by the Royal Anglian Regiment. Formation: the regiment had its origins in the Rifle Volunteer Corps formed in Cambridgeshire in 1860. By 1880 the volunteer units in the county had amalgamated as the battalion-size 1st Cambridgeshire Rifle Volunteer Corps. In the following year, as part of the Childers reforms, the 1st Cambridgeshire RVC were nominated as a volunteer battalion of the Suffolk Regiment. In 1887 the unit was renamed as the 3rd Volunteer Battalion, the Suffolk Regiment. The 3rd Volunteer Battalion sent a voluntary detachment of 3 officers and 43 other ranks to reinforce the regular Suffolk Regiment in the Second Boer War between 1899 and 1902. On the formation of the Territorial Force in 1908. Following the Haldane reforms, the 3rd Volunteer Battalion became the Cambridgeshire Battalion, the Suffolk Regiment. In the following year the Cambridgeshires were constituted a separate regiment, with the title 1st Battalion, the Cambridgeshire Regiment, although remaining part of the corps of the regular Suffolk Regiment. First World War. On the outbreak of the First World War, the Territorial Force was doubled in size, with the Cambridgeshire Regiment forming a 2/1 of a stone battalion. In 1915 a further increase in the size of the TF led to the formation of 3/1 of a stone and 4/1 of a stone battalions. The 2/1 of a stone battalion, the 3/1 of a stone battalion and the 4/1 of a stone battalion remained in the United Kingdom throughout the war. 1st Battalion. The 1st Battalion was based in Cambridge at the outbreak of the war. It formed part of the East Midland Brigade in the East Anglian Division. It landed at Le Havre in France and came under command of the 82nd Brigade in the 27th Division. The battalion transferred to 7th Corps in November 1915 and then transferred to 118th Brigade in the 39th Division in February 1916. Troops of the 4th, 5th Black Watch, the 1st Cambridgeshire Regiment and the 17th King's Royal Rifle Corps of the 117th Brigade took part in the capture of Schwaben Redoubt, a fortress dominating Thiepval in October 1916 during the Battle of the Somme. 3 German counter-attacks on the 15th of October, supported by Flammenwerfer detachments, were defeated. C Company of the battalion then performed an important role in the capture of a boiler house and then refused to fall back when they came under counter-attack during the Battle of Passchendaele in July 1917. Some 77 officers and 789 other ranks were killed during the First World War. Second World War. In early 1939, just prior to the outbreak of the Second World War, the Territorial Army was again doubled in size, with each unit forming a second-line duplicate. As a consequence, a 2nd Battalion was raised. Following mobilization, both battalions served on the Norfolk coast with the 18th Infantry Division. 1st Battalion. The battalion fought at Sime Road Camp in Singapore and defended the camp for 2 days before being ordered to surrender to the Imperial Japanese Army by Lieutenant General Arthur Percival, commander of the garrison. 2nd Battalion. The battalion was sent to Singapore in early 1942 and reinforced the 15th Indian Brigade at Batu Papat. The brigade held the town for 10 days against attack by the Imperial Japanese Army. Some 500 troops from the battalion fought their way back to Singapore and were attacked on all sides at Bradwell Road in Singapore before being also ordered to surrender. Some 24 officers soldiers and 760 other were killed or died in Japanese captivity during the Second World War. Post-war, in 1947 the regiment was converted to an artillery role, becoming the 629th Light Anti-Aircraft Regiment, Royal Artillery. In 1956 the regiment returned to its traditional role and designation as 1st Battalion, the Cambridgeshire Regiment. There was a general reduction in the size of the Territorial Army in 1961, and 1st Cambridgeshires were amalgamated with the 4th Battalion, the Suffolk Regiment, to form the Suffolk and Cambridgeshire Regiment. This formation was itself disbanded in 1967. Battle honours. The regiment's battle honours were as follows: Early Wars: South Africa 1901. First World War: Ypres 1915-17, Somme 1916-18, Ancre Heights, Pilkem, Passchendaele, Kemmel, Amiens, Hindenburg Line, Pursuit to Mons, France and Flanders 1915-18. Second World War: Johor, Batu Paffut, Singapore Island, Malaya 1942.